Okay, the second part is to register actually our user. In order to do this, we are going to create a class which is going to be called, it's a Swift file, and this class will handle all our Firebase users. So we say f user. This is our class name. Let's create our class. The name is f user, and it's not subclass of any other class. So we have f user class here. We need to import our Firebase, and we need to import our Firebase authentication. It doesn't require, since we are importing the Firebase, so we are cool. So our user, f user stands for Firebase user. We can call it whatever you want, just make sure you remember it in the future videos so you can stick with it. Right, so we are going to give some variables to our user. So the first one is going to be let object ID, which is a type of string. This is going to be saved our object ID of our f user. Then we are going to have a variable. You see, the object ID is not going to be changed throughout the project. That's why I'm putting a let. Variable means we can change the object, this variable. So that's why I'm calling it var. This is going to be the push ID, which is a type of string, and this is an optional. So, and the push ID will be the ID of our user. We will get it from one signal. We are going to use this push ID to send push notifications to our users. So it's a good opportunity to save it so we can use it later on. Then we have let created at, this is going to be type of date, and then we say variable updated at, this is also going to be type of date. Make sure you don't by mistake write data, because it's very I am doing this mistake all the time. So again, updated at this date will change every time we update our user, so that's why we're keeping it variable. Then I'm going to have a var, and I'm going to call this coins. What coins is, it's like which is an integer. This is in-app currency that our user is going to use for the inside the application. So let's say if you want to put your advertisement on top, you can use the coins to purchase this product. So we have coins, then we say var, and we need to have a company name. So if our user is a real estate agent, we can register his company name, which is a string. Again, variable, because we are going to allow the user to change the company name if he wants to. Then we have another variable, which is first name. Again, it's type of string, and user can change it. Variable last name, it's a string. Then we have a variable full name, which is going to be first name and last name together, which is again string. And we are going to have a avatar. It's going to be a string. Here we will save our user's avatar image. Then we have variable phone number, which is string again. I'm going to have another phone number, and I'm going to call this additional phone number, just in case our user has two phone numbers. And another variable, and this is going to be is agent, so we can keep a track of, which is a boolean, so it's yes or no. So this will keep a track if our user is an agent or just a buyer. And finally we say variable favorite properties, and this is going to be an array of string. Here we are going to save the ID of his favorite properties. All right. Oh, we are getting some error here because it says we have no initializer. It is not a problem. We are going to fix it right now. So we say init, and we are going to pass some parameters. So we say _object ID, which is a string. I'm putting _ so we can see the difference between our variables and the one we are getting passed. So it's easier for the eye. Then _push ID, which is a string optional. Optional means we can pass it a string, or we can pass. If we don't pass it, it will be just nil. Then we say _, and this is going to be created at, which is going to be a type of date. And we have _updated at, which is a type of date again. Then we have first name, which is a string. Then we have the last name _, which is a string again. And then we have our avatar. See, I'm going to call this string, and by default it's going to be equal to empty string. So if we don't pass any value here, our initializer will assume that it's an empty string. And finally we have our phone number, which is a string, and again by default it's going to be an empty string. So we have all our variable names here we are passing to our initializer. Now we have to set all these values so our Xcode will stop complaining. So let's do this. We say object ID is equals to our object ID that we are passing. Then we say the push ID is equals to the push ID we are passing, and same goes for created. And same for updated at equals to updated. Let's just put a space here, get different, easier for eye. Then we go to coins. All right, the coins by default on registration, we are going to give 10 coins free to our user. And we have the first name is equal to the first name. Last name is equals to the last name we are passing. And we have the full name. And here we can just say first name. Full name is equals to first name plus last name. Actually, let's put an empty a space in between. So we have first name and empty space and last name. See how cool the Swift is? We can use the plus on a string, so we can add one string to another with the plus. Then we have our avatar, which is equal to our avatar that we are going to give this function. And we have is agent, and by default we are going to say false because our user is not agent, but it can become an agent. Then we have a company name, which is going to be an empty string, and we have favorite properties. Oh, I have typo here. And we have our favorite properties, which is going to be an empty array by default. The phone number is going to be equal to our phone number, and the additional phone number is going to be an empty string as well. So this completes our initializer. By using this initializer, we will create an F user. So when we have our Firebase user, we can actually save it to our Firebase, because in order to save something to our Firebase, we need to convert it to NS dictionary, which is a type of JSON code. Once we do this, you will see the look of it. So let's write another initializer. This initializer will be called dictionary. So we are going to pass an NS dictionary to this function, and it's going to create a fuser object for us. Right, bear with me, it's quite long, so let's start. Just to be on safe side, we are going to first check if we have when we are getting an NS dictionary, we need to check if we have some values before we can assign it to our F user. Otherwise, our application can crash. Right. To do this, we are going to say if let and say created equals, and we say dictionary, and we can access the dictionary with the key, and keys we are going to create right now. So once we create these keys, we are going to use them to save and to return the value, so we can access it every time and we don't have to type it, because every time you type a word, if you get a typo there, you are going to crash your application, and there is no way for Xcode to notify you for the typo. So for this, we are going to write we are going to put them all in our constant file. So let's do this. I am going to copy and paste all this because it's quite a lot and I don't want to spend the time typing it. I will just explain you what's going on. Right, so we have this part already, and here we have a F user, which just mark here to show that it belongs to our F user. So we have public let and object ID, k object ID, it's equals to word object ID. So every time I use this, it will be auto-completed and I will get my object ID. Then I have k user, which I will get my user, and etc. So you can see here I have all the variable names for my F user, because this will be used to save the user information on Firebase. I will show this to you once we can save our first user. Right, when time comes for this, I will explain you what's going on here as well. Alright, so for now we are going to use the F user only. So let's go back to our F user, and now we can continue our function here. So created that, we are going to say k created. It's not going to autofill, so let's clean our project. Command Shift K. Alright, so we are getting an error, which is okay. Let's say k created at, still doesn't autocomplete.